The recent terrorist attacks in Kenya and Nigeria have renewed attention on militancy and terrorism in Africa. VOA's Al Pearson reports from London on the rising trend and the difficulty of reversing it.
The September 21st attack on Nairobi's Westgate shopping mall by Somalia's Al-Shabaab militants was a shocking event in generally peaceful Nairobi. A week later, across the continent, the midnight killing of dozens of students at a college in Nigeria was equally shocking but less surprising. There, the government is at war with the radical Islamist sect Boko Haram. Rising militancy in Nigeria and Somalia, as well as Mali, Libya, and several other African countries, has killed thousands in terrorist attacks and civil wars. And for the most part, it's linked to local grievances, according to Africa expert Jason Mosley of London's Chatham House Research Organization, speaking via Skype.
Terrorism, broadly speaking, in Africa is still tightly constrained to regional or local political dynamics.
Poverty, corruption, and political frustration create fertile ground for radicalism, but there is at least an ideological link to global militant Islam, says the director of the King's College Center for the Study of Radicalism, Alexander Meliagru Hitchens.
I don't think any of these groups are directed, specifically by Al-Qaeda Central. I mean, they are affiliated, they are fellow travelers, they follow the same ideology. But yes, a lot of these groups in Africa do have also local concerns, and some of them are actually divided.
For example, Meliagru Hitchens says not all members of Al-Shabaab support launching attacks outside of Somalia, like the one in Nairobi, even though Kenya has troops on Somali territory. But while poverty and other local issues spawn militant groups in many parts of the continent, Jason Mosley says the number of recruits remains small, while the problems that motivate them are big and difficult to solve.
De-radicalization efforts that are underway in places like Kenya or Somalia are one track. And of course, ultimately and broadly speaking, the real answer is economic opportunity. This is more difficult than it sounds.
And experts say that's particularly true in the areas where it's needed most, Africa's poorest and most troubled countries.
It's likely that this problem, this trend of jihadist activity in Africa will continue in the foreseeable future, simply because the problems on which the recruitment and the spread is based, like the poverty, like the corruption, are going to remain for quite some time.
Experts say the combination of economic opportunity, education, and leadership that could ensure that children like these don't grow up to be militants is hard to come by and ever more urgently needed. Al Pearson, VOA News, London.